Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. I'm trying to get into more programming stuff I'm interested in, technology, whatever it may be on this channel. So this is, I think, gonna be my second video. So I'm still in the very beginning, early stages of learning everything. Today, I'll be discussing one of my personal projects, which is not like specifically a complicated one, but something that like I wish a feature that like other apps had. Um, so as you can see on the title of this page, this is a Tick SMS upgrade. What does that mean? I'm sure a lot of you have heard or used the app Tick. It's made for taking notes, for a to-do list, for I don't know, maybe items coming up, stuff like that, right? So I personally use TickTick. A lot of content creators, a lot of social media platforms, students, teachers, everybody has heard of TickTick. TickTick is great. It sends notifications on your desktop, on your phone. I'm a person that a lot of time disregards notification that I may not deem important. Text messages, however, are not one of those messages, are not one of those notifications. So when I get a text message, I am much more aware of the content and like try to read and stuff. So what I thought would be a really nice feature for these reminder apps to have is to send you a text notification in addition to your notification that they send on your phone. So for example, if you had an upcoming event, right, it would be good to have it to send a notification to your phone, but also to text you, hey, the task you scheduled for this time is now due. So I'm sure everyone's aware of the TickTick app. So here's the TickTick app. I have like samples here. I can make another sample as well. For example, we're gonna have work on Tick video, and we're gonna set a time. For today, what time is 2:21 as I'm recording this at the moment, so we're gonna set it to 2:30. Then we're gonna press enter. Finish recording Tick video. So now we're gonna set this one to 3 p.m. Yeah, why not? 3 p.m. is good. Okay, so I will like show, I guess, videos or screenshots of my phone and my text messages just to show that like how it works. And I'll show you guys how I set up the code, what are some of the steps, and how to actually set it up on an automate, like on a server for free, so that it can just keep running on its own without you having to press run every single time. How does this work? Well, I'll go through, I guess, a little bit of the basics. All the code is on GitHub, so everybody can take a look. Basically, the gist or the summary of this, how this works, is there's an unofficial Ticktick Api. This API has good documentation, and it's on PyPy, so you can just pip install TicktickPy. There's a lot of documentation. So what you will have to do, there's an early stages of setting this up, where you will have to go through this get started, right, which kind of shows you how to set up an OAuth 2 on your TickTick account so that other apps can have access and use the TickTick API that TickTick has. Because TickTick technically does have an API, but this is like a much nicer version of, I guess, Python version of like the TickTick API. So this will show you how to set up the OAuth 2, how to get your tokens, how to set up the tokens, and I suggest you do this on your own personal computer so that you have access to the web browser, because part of this does need to open a new tab, and if you're using a service like Replit or an online IDE, it may or may not work as well. So I do suggest running this locally on your computer so that it can just open your browser and redirect you in order so that you can get the access token. So when you finish this, right, this basically just allows you for you to communicate with your account with the Ticktick. Next problem is, okay, so how do I send text messages? Because if I have the Ticktick API, then that means I can get my tasks, I can get the due dates, etc. Right? But how do I send the messages? Well, if you actually make a simple web search of how to send SMS with Python, this Twilio website comes up, right? Twilio is an API for reliable SMS delivery. I think it's very easy to use. There's only one issue. The problem is that Twilio is paid, so you have to pay a certain amount per text message. So if I do SMS, you can see it costs you to send an SMS. So obviously, this is for, I guess, learning purposes, so I didn't want to pay. So I was looking through different alternatives online. It's a very interesting thing I found is that in the US and in Canada, the tutorial that I found originally wasn't for US based, but in Canada, providers have certain servers where if you send them an email, right, with the number you want to send a text message to, and then the server, like the email address, it will route that through your email, right, and then text it to the person that you want to go through. So I guess first thing you should do is make a secondary Gmail. This one I made it's called One Platform to Rule. Basically, I was trying to make an app to, I guess, like set it up so that if you write a message, it can send it to multiple platforms. I'm still working on that. I'm trying to still get WhatsApp and all the other ones working. But basically here, if you, I guess, just send a message, right? It will, if you email it, so if I do compose and I write like my email number and then thing, and then the server API for like the provider, it will send the text, and your email will show up as the sender. So I know it's a little bit confusing right now, so I'll go through the code, I'll go through all the steps, and that way I can just show you guys. So this is the code. Everything again is on GitHub. This is just a side what do you call it, like a function that I'm using, so I'll get to that later. These are all the packages you're going to be importing. You actually don't need this, python. So basically what you do first is, your first thing should be to set up a .env, right, for like your environment values. So I have this install sh, and I have it so that when you run sh install env.sh, it will make the .env for you. I'm not going to open this because it has my information in it, but it will put all of these. Client ID, client secret is from your Ticktick. Redirect URI. You can use the one that I have here. Basically, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a URL that works, basically. Username and password is your Ticktick username and password. Phone number is the phone number that you want the messages to go to, right? Email user and email password is basically the email address that you're going to be using in order to like send the email from. One thing for email password is that on Gmail, what you will have to do first is set up second two-factor authentication. Once you do that, then you can like get those temporary passwords that other applications can use to authenticate with your email address without you having to give your master password, right? So if you search up how to give app access to email, right, you can see here, select start, settings, privacy permissions, select app permissions. So app permissions will just give you like a temporary password that you use for your applications that you want to authenticate with. So once you actually make this, then you can use it to, I guess, start everything, right? So Authenticate Client, this basically what it does is it does the OAuth 2 authentication with the Ticktick servers to just I guess authenticate who you are, and then it uses client and a Ticktick client, which is from the Ticktick Pi, to make a session, right, with your username and password and the auth client from here. So when you actually do all of this, then this client is your Ticktick client. You can use this to get your projects. Projects refer to like the different lists you have. You can get your tasks. You can do a lot of stuff. If you actually do client state, and then if you just print this, you can see all the different JSON objects that this will return. So basically what I'm doing, right, the logic of this program is to authenticate with Ticktick, get the current time, get the time that the due date for each task on Ticktick, and then check, okay, am I equal to that time? If I am, send the text. If I'm not, skip. Or if it's one of those tasks that doesn't have a due date, that doesn't have a time constraint, then just skip it, right? So check, yes, it's time to send a text, send a text. Not, okay, skip it. So that's basically what's happening here, right? So what you want to do is, so format a time, right? This will give you the current time. You want to make sure it's in UTC now. That's the time zone that you want to use, because it just, like, Ticktick, when it returns the due dates, it uses the UTC time zone. So it's better to use UTC in order to make sure you're doing everything in the correct time. What I'm doing is actually I'm formatting it in a way so that I can just cut out the seconds and everything, so that it's just specific to the minute. I'm pretty sure there's an easier way, but like, it's just I got a little bit lazy, to be honest. So I was just want to get it done. So here, all tasks is client state task. So this actually returns all of the tasks that I have in any list that I have. Then I iterate through these tasks, right? I get the title. So task is a JSON object. It has title and other attributes that you can just use the print function to print and look at them. I can get the due date if there is one. If there is a due date, then I cut the last 12 so that it cuts out the, I guess it's the milliseconds, right? And then the seconds as well. So it's just down to the minute. And then I actually convert that string into a datetime object. If there isn't one, then doesn't have a due date, and skip. If the due date is not null, and time in range. So time in range, the good thing about datetime is that if you have two datetime objects, you can just compare them directly. So you can actually just do time in range, start current, and then you can just check to see if they're equal to each other. If they are, then you can just make a message. Hey, like, I'm gonna send a message for this. Get the phone number from your .env file. Your message, the way I have it formatted is TTN, which stands for Ticktick notification dash the title, which is my task, and then space due, right? Then it uses another Python file that I have, which is called SMS Platform, and send SMS via email to send that message to the phone number with an empty subject, and then message sent, audible to send, and everything. This part is bad programming while true to make it like an infinite loop, and this keep alive I will get to what is used for later. But basically this is I think it's kind of necessary in order to make it so that it keeps running on Replit, so that you can have it set so that it can run on the server infinitely without you having to interfere. So let's talk about how the SMS platform works, right? The SMS platform, which is here, has one function called SMS via email. This takes in the number, message, subject, SMTP server, SMTP port. These I've set default for now, and provider. This provider is dependent on which provider you want to use. In the US, your providers will have a different email address. In Canada, I'm using Bell because it's, I guess, the more stable out of like all the options. There is a Pi, like a SMS MMS providers.py file that I will be uploading. This has a mix of providers in the US and Canada. So AT&T, Cricket are from the US. Bell Canada is from Bell. Sprint is the US. Straight Talk is the US. T-Mobile is the US. Verizon, I think, is either Canada or US. I'm not remember. Virgin Mobile is Canada. Fido is Canada. Rogers is Canada, and Koodo is Canada. So you can use whichever one you want. You just give the name, right? Whatever this identifying information is, you give it here, provider. This will use the .env to get your email user and email pass. Parse them for sender credentials. The email is going to be basically the number that you give at, and then this SMS link over here. Then I'm just making a MIME multipart and from to subject, and you can just use the SMTP library to send the email. Once you send the email, it will actually go through the servers of your provider, and then it will go through text. Completely free, no charging text, not like Twilio. So this basically is how the code is set up and how it will, I guess, work if you were to run it manually. So I can actually run it here. Tick SMS upgrade. So this will go through them. Decouple. I think I made a mistake. Oh, right. I'm not in my virtual environment. So, it's actually running the Flask right now as well, which is a little bit unnecessary. I don't know if it's going to open. But basically, as you can see here, it does info, client connection successful, get all tasks, current format of tasks, sending messages. Then it will go through. Right now, I don't have anything set up. So it basically, anything that shows up here is anything that's due. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. Right? So it will show up like messages, which messages are being sent. So I will show you again like what it looks like when it actually comes through your phone. Once I have that set up. Now, so I guess now I think is a good time to just talk about how to set this up so that you can have it run indefinitely. Right, so you can see it's on a for loop and it runs every 50 seconds. So that way it's just less than a minute. It keeps checking, and then every minute it just outputs all the tasks. I can stop this from running. So here I have a keep alive. What does this keep alive do? Well, this keep alive is a Flask app, which basically starts a host on Replit. And the thing about Replit is that if your program is running, if you close it, it will still run for a certain time unless another outside request is being sent to your Replit app and it keeps it activated, right? So in order to keep Replit from running your code indefinitely, you have to have a Flask app that runs a empty, basic, meaningless host, like a web host, and then use another service in order to ping this host every couple of minutes so that you can stop it from dying on its own. So the two services that we'll be using is actually Replit, as I said, and Uptime Robot, right? So what you want to do is go onto Replit, make an account, and just, I guess, make a new Replit, call it whatever you want. I have my name Ticktick SMS Upgrade, and upload all the code. Couple of things I need you to know is your token auth, don't upload it directly because it's a security risk. Replit, unless you have a hacker membership, you have to make it public, and you don't want that kind of information out in the public. So I have this empty, and I will explain why and how it still works. The thing about Replit is that it doesn't actually let you open a new tab or open, I guess, the necessary step for the Ticktick authentication in order for you to get the redirect URL. So what I had to do is I upload this just so that the file called token authentic OAuth exists, because it actually uses this. However, in my secret environment variables, so these are basically, this is your .env. So if you upload a .env that's already populated, all the different variables will come here, and even if your Replit is public, it still won't show to others. So now I have my access token. So this is the OAuth. This is whatever's in the OAuth file. I have it set as an environment variable. However, you do need to make a change to like the Ticktick library itself in order to make it work with environmental variables. So if you actually navigate to site packages under library, and you go to, where's it? Tick Pi is what we're looking for, right? Tick over here. Loading a little, and then you go to cache. If you go to cache and you scroll to line down to line 30, you will have access token info full string equal to f.read, right? What you want to do is just replace that f.read with this config access token. You do also need to import from decouple import config. So this will access your environmental variables, and it will just get the access token information and then just pretend as if it read it from the file, even though it didn't, right? It read it from a different file. So once you have that set up, and if you actually go to the code, oh yeah, right. You also need to set up your .replit. So here your entry point should be your ticktick SMS upgrade.py for me. And this will come here, start the Flask app, which is right here, and it gives you a URL. And then while true, which is an infinite loop, it will run main. The code that I have written here is in a function called main, and it sleep for 50 seconds. So if I run this, you can see that there is a Flask app running. There's a URL, and it says stop. I can stop it if I want, and this will keep running indefinitely. So in order to now make it run forever, you're gonna make an account on a website called Uptime Robot. It's free, no payment is needed. You will go to monitors, you will make a new monitor, right? In your monitor, you will have the monitor type to HTTPS, set a name, and for the URL, you're actually gonna get this URL over here and put it here, right? Monitor interval, I set up to 5 minutes. So if you have the free version, you cannot, there is a paid version for this as well. The free version, you have to set the monitor interval to 5 minutes or more. I have my timer to 1 minute just in case. And if you actually have the app, you can get notifications or emails about any outages on your monitor. So I will definitely show you guys a clip of what the app looks like as well. So then I can just save these changes and close this. And if I just open this, you can see the status of your Replit app. So it will show what's the response time like, what is the uptime like. I have another one for a different project that I've worked on, which I might do a video about later. So that one is about Discord and the Discord API and just adding a minor but interesting feature that I find useful for myself. So yeah, so this basically keeps it running, right? Again, everything is on Ticktick and is on GitHub. Thank you. Like, I did a lot of research. I'll try to find as many of the tutorials that I used for any of the stuff that I had problems with and try to post it in the comment section of this video. Make sure to check my GitHub, make sure to check Replit, and I hope this video helps you, I guess, either add the same feature that you're looking for or help you and give you an idea of how to add a feature that you might be able to use in something else. But thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm new to this whole video making thing, so hopefully it goes well, and hopefully I get better as time goes on. Thank you again. I wish you all a great weekend. For me, it's Sunday as I'm recording this video, and talk to you guys soon.